Hi, and welcome back to another edition of the preview show. Apologies for not getting one out there last week. Unfortunately, nature, in the form of the beast from the east, Storm Emma, that hit us here in the UK last week, somewhat semi-destroyed my house. So I was somewhat preoccupied sorting out things here at home and didn't get a chance to get something out. And it was unfortunate because what a tournament and what a result. It was great to see Phil Mickelson back in the winner's circle. And whilst I'm not the biggest JT fan out there, can't deny how well he's playing. And that final shot on the 18th hole in regulation play to actually get into the playoff was something to behold, and I think something we'll hear about for the rest of the season, no doubt. So a great tournament, great finish. I was absolutely hooked to the action, and that wasn't just because I'd backed Phil to win it, but I think the quality of the golf. I think the storylines playing through was fabulous. And it was great to see some Europeans do really, really well there as well, Tyrrell Hatton and Rafa Cabrera-Bello. And that kind of sets us up nicely, obviously, into the next 3 events running into the Masters coming up in the first weekend in April. So we've got some really exciting golf coming up. This week I'm going to concentrate more on the PGA Tour, which is the Valspar Championship. But I will touch on the European Tour and the Hero Indian Open as well. But let's start off with the Valspar. So the Valspar is just outside Tampa in Palm Harbor. The course itself is a relatively, from what I understand, is a relatively tree-lined course. It's just had another renovation. So it's quite a narrow tree-lined event. So it's going to be very much favouring kind of people, hitting fairways and good iron play. I know you can pretty much say that for most events, but I don't think you can be wild off the tee by all accounts here, otherwise there'll be a lot of chipping out, and I know there's a lot of water involved too. So field itself, we've got Tiger back again this week. He's playing the next couple of events, which is great news. It's fabulous to see how well he's come back already at T12 in those difficult, challenging conditions. At the Honda Classic was interesting, and certainly hopefully a really good testament to how he's going to play for the rest of the year. So it'd be fascinating to see how he does over the next couple of weeks. But aside from Tiger, we've got Jordan Spieth, we've got Rory, we've got Justin Rose, Henrik Stenson, Paul Casey, Sergio Garcia. So the field is pretty solid. So a pretty strong field, and that's not always been the case here in Valspar, because where it sits in the calendar, it's often after the WGC event, which means a lot of the guys take the weekend off. So it's normally one of those events that perhaps some of the lesser known players come in and attempt to try and get a victory for the season. So it'll be fascinating to see how that plays out this week. From a winning perspective, I'm actually going to back Sergio Garcia this week. I think he played very well last weekend out in Mexico. He's already playing well this year. He's got a win obviously in Singapore right at the beginning of the year. This to me seems like his sort of setup. He's strong off the tee, great iron play. We saw from last week the putter was behaving itself quite well, so hopefully he can take that form into this week. So at 17-1, he's going to be my winner for this week. Moving on to kind of each way perspective, again, you could probably take any of those top guys. I think they'll probably all be there or thereabouts. So it'll be interesting to see if Rory can play a bit better. He's played okay. Again, he's just not putting very well. He just seems to be a bit disinterested when it comes to putting from the highlights and the coverage that I've seen so far this year. So hopefully he can get that working. But I expect all those top guys to do quite well. There is one guy I'm going to go with here, and that's Adam Hadwin at 34-1. So he won last year this event. He's coming into the tournament in some good form. He was 9th last week at WGC. He was 6th the week previously. He's already got another couple of top 10s this season. So he's in good form already, and he's obviously got pedigree at this track. So 34-1, he's certainly worth an each way bet. And there's also a bunch of guys around kind of 50, 60, 70-1 that are worth looking at from an each way point of view. Guys like Brandt Snedeker and Matt Kuchar. These types of individuals, they're definitely worth looking at for this type of event, because I think it's the sort of event that they're perhaps not being quite so long off the tee won't harm them, but their accuracy will certainly benefit, accuracy in short game. And in terms of outsiders, again, there's a load of people I quite like around 100, 111-1. There are a couple of guys I'm going to highlight here for you. So Keegan Bradley, playing very well already this season, a couple of top fives already. He's great off the tee, very accurate, another couple of guys, Austin Cook. So he's already won this season, another top 5. He's playing pretty solidly. And the other guy I've got an eye on is Graham McDowell. Graham is starting to play well again. And again, I don't think this is a sort of course that, whilst he's got some extra length this season, he's obviously still not the longest hitter. So again, this is a sort of course where he won't be penalised too much. So I think those guys will be certainly worth an outside bet. And for me, I'm going to go with Keegan as my outsider, 100. I think he's 100 to 1. Yeah, 100 to 1. Yeah, as a pure outside, I think he's worth good value. And we know he's won big tournaments before. He's obviously won the US PGA. But he's a good outside bet, and I know he's done well here historically. So it'll be a fascinating week. And again, just for me, on the Tiger piece, if I touch on him again, I'm just really pleased that he's playing these next 2 events in the run-up to the Masters. Hopefully he can continue his good form from the last event of the Honda Classic. He did a lot of things right. I still think there's a couple little gremlins in there, but I think they'll get ironed out with more play. So it'll be fascinating to see how he does over the next couple of weeks. And expect him, I mean, the betting for the Masters is going to be hilarious at some point, because we've had Bubba winning and playing well. Phil's been playing fabulously all season. He's obviously won last week. And if Tiger shows any sort of form, then the irony being those 3 will be right at the top of the betting when it comes to the Masters in 4 weeks' time. So moving the conversation on to the European Tour. European Tour continues its worldwide venture, going off to New Delhi. They're playing the Hero Indian Open. I think kind of the big name is going to be Shubhankar Sharma, who obviously was leading after 54 holes last weekend. Didn't have a great final round, but did a great account of himself last week at the WGC. He's clearly a talent, already won on the European Tour this year, playing very well. I think he's certainly one to watch for the future. He's going to be a real star. I know he's the favourite here at 12 to 1. For me, though, I think just because of the emotions probably of last weekend, the pressure, high pressure, and then just factor in the travelling all the way back to New Delhi, I think it's probably a bit of a stretch. For me, I like one of the next 2, which is Anaban Lahiri or Chris Wood, and I'm actually going to change my mind at the last minute. I'm going to go with Chris Wood, I think, this week at 17 to 1. I was going to go with Lahiri because he's played okay on the PGA Tour, and I think playing against that better competition will probably stand him in good stead. But Chris Wood has actually been playing progressively better over the last month. So I expect him to win this week. And in terms of, I'm not going to give you an outsider this week because it's just so random and there's so many unknowns that I genuinely don't really know about. But a couple of names from an each way perspective to look out for. And again, these guys are getting better and better as the season progresses, and they've already posted some decent results. So that's Stephen Gallagher, and he's at 50 to 1, and Sean Crocker at 55 to 1, the American. So both of those guys have had some decent results. I think they can do well this week. It's a funny old tournament. Last year, Charisia SSP won by 7 or 8 strokes in the end. The rest of the field was pretty compact, but he basically lapped the field. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of result we'll get this week. Candidly, I'm going to be focusing more of my attention on the Valspar. I think that'll be a fascinating event and be interesting to see how it pans out. Anyway, as always, love to know your comments below. Let me know who you think will do quite well in both events. Look forward to hearing from you. Cheers, bye.